In this video, I'll show you how to spot, find, and trade breaker blocks, how to find the high probability ones, and how to avoid the low probability ones. I'll be backtesting a week of data and show you how I think when it comes to breaker blocks. So this video will be very beneficial to you. You're gonna see me saying my thoughts out loud. If anyone needs a one-on-one mentorship, check out the description. This is Mulham and let's get into it. So what are we looking at exactly? Basically, all what I need and all what you need to learn from this video, we're actually applying this video is this. We're gonna see how price is going to any level and then price retracing, taking a liquidity level or breaking structure, whatever, but we don't want to see much displacement. So it's either by a wick or by a candle. Let's say by a candle just like this. What are we seeing in this case? We see a breaker structure right here, and sometimes it's even a liquidity sweep on the lower time frame. So that's a breaker structure. Now, what is this in this case? We have an order block right here, and it's a bullish order block, and price is gonna come back. What I want to see is actually price coming back aggressively with displacement, breaking below this point. So this is an order block and it was broken through and not respected. That's what I want to see. So I want to see a candle closure below this level, and that's gonna be my market structure shift. And this is what I'll be looking at for price to come back inside of this breaker block. So it was an order block, now because it was broken and not respected, then this is a breaker block. So most likely price will come back to it and then continue to that side. So if we see this in kill zones on the 5 minutes, in this video, I'll look for it on the 5 minutes, but you can actually look for it in any time frame you want, okay? This is happening in all time frames, but for this purpose of this video, we're gonna go over the 5 minutes and I'll backtest. We're gonna go over it, we're gonna learn together, and I'll show you step by step how to use the breaker block and how can we benefit from it. Now there is another case where price is just basically going down, the order flow is going down and somehow it takes a liquidity from here, like a liquidity level, and then it goes down. So now this is, a lot of people were considering this as an order block, but it was disrespected. Then price is going to come back to that breaker block now and continue to the lower side. So you see right here, this is what I mean. Price coming back to this breaker block now. It happens a lot when price broke through this level. So we can actually look for this too. So what I'm going to do actually is go over the last week. So it was 14th, now it's 15th. So we're going to go back 7 days. We're going to go to the 7th and we're going to see how is the breaker block performing. How are we spotting the breaker block? What is my way of thinking when it comes to breaker block? So this is an educational video. I'll show you how I think. I'll show you how is the breaker block performing. I'll show you how we can use the breaker block. So we're not going to focus on any higher time frame. We can actually improve this much better if you focus on specific timings, like the 9:30 Judah swing. We can actually implement this, and also other times like the London Judah swing also. But today I'm only showing you the concept of breaker block. So we're gonna go to the 5 minutes and we're gonna go to, let's say, the 7th, so almost a week from now. I could go over a month of data, 2 months, but I don't want to make the video long. Okay, so we're gonna actually go to the 7th. We have the 7th here, so let's put this. Okay, 7th right here. Okay, this is the 6th. I'm gonna go to the 7th, and there you go. So 7th, and then we're gonna go to 5 minutes now. And as I said, we're only trading New York and London kill zone. We're not actually trading Asian session. Okay, so let's wait for London. Now this is Asian session. London session is gonna be yellow like this. It's gonna be yellow, and the New York session is gonna be red. So we see price ordered by taking this liquidity going higher. Now I'm not really, because there is a liquidity sweep here. This can be considered as a breaker block, but it's not clean. What I want to see is this. I want to see something very clean like this. Very clear legs and then very clear displacement and the price coming there. You see, that's what I wanted to see. And it's even better if there is, with the breaker block, there is a fair value gap here aligning with the breaker block. That's a high probability. I'm not gonna focus on this much, maybe another video, but In this video, as I said, I'm only showing you the performing of the breaker block without anything, no daily bias, no higher time frame, no nothing, literally nothing except the breaker block on kill zones, only one time frame also, so only focusing on the 5 minutes. Okay, so let's go now. We have a liquidity sweep here. The low is going to be all the way right here. This is too far, but I can see something here, price actually respecting this level. So this is actually a breaker, price respecting, but I don't think it's going to respect that much because of the liquidity sweep here. So not really the best trade here. Okay, our price actually goes up. Let's remove this now. So we can see something here. If we consider this leg, so this whole move as once, then what do we see? We see price taking this high, and what is in between? Where is the lowest point in between? When I say the lowest point, what I mean is that where is the extreme order block in between, which then when unrespected is gonna be a breaker block, right? So it's this one, and price actually break structure, so you're gonna call it change of character, break of structure, whatever, but at this point price actually went lower, right? And price here was respecting a mitigation block here. So mitigation block, price coming lower, mitigation block respected, price coming lower. So at this point it's not really the best one, but I think this level might hold, either this one or this one, but most likely this one. It's gonna hold price to go lower. Say okay, actually price doesn't go there, doesn't come there, and there is a fair value gap there. So okay, we have a liquidity sweep here. That's our high, so a potential entry right here if price break above this level, right? So let's see, and there you go. So price closed above it. Now we have a breaker block entry. So what we can do actually is this entry here, right? And then a stop loss, I would say below the low of this candle, or if you want to be safe, then below this point, right? But let's go here and then 2.5. But I know that there is a potential that price can come and react from here, so it's gonna be kind of risky to enter here. But let's see how price actually react to this level and if it's gonna hold. Okay, I mean it's holding so far. You see how price now closing below this level, so that's the breaker block. Price not really closing below, only weakening below, so that's a good one. But the problem here is that the reward to risk and also the stop loss placement. So I don't think it was kind of worth it. Let's actually react from here. Okay, so what do we see here? Price actually reacted from here, and we didn't have an entry. I mean right here. Okay, so let's keep moving. And there is nothing so far in New York. No liquidity sweep. As I said, what are we looking at first when it comes to breaker block? So what is the first component of a breaker block? It's actually a liquidity sweep. So when we have a liquidity sweep, when price breaks below this point, which is most likely the market structure shift, then we have a potential breaker block. So usually a breaker block is already had a market structure shift, so that's a good thing. You always had a market structure shift when entering. That doesn't mean that's the best market structure shift and that's the most confirmed one, but still, it's a lower time frame or even internal change of character. So price actually going lower. So liquidity sweep here, price going up. We have this high to be respected. Now we have this breaker block too, but I want to look at this one. This is also a fractal high, so closing above this will activate the breaker block. Not yet. And so this one that means we have a breaker block now, so we can actually look at this, and there is a potential entry at this point. So let's see if price, so okay, price actually doesn't respect it and goes lower. So nothing so far. Okay, we are out of kill zones actually, so let's skip until the next day. Actually, price going up very aggressively. Okay, so we have nothing so far. Now price, there's no big, there is a sweep here, but too far to consider a breaker block, and there is no clear, I mean, price come lower, goes up. Maybe this is a breaker block on the lower time frame, but and it also aligns with the fair value gap, but this is not what we are looking for. Price goes lower, there is nothing so far. And actually, let's see this. Okay, so we had a sweep, there is a sweep, and let's mark this, just for, because this is a lower time frame breaker block. And what do we have here? We have a sweep, just showing you how the breaker block is working. Not saying that I'll be entering every trade. Why? Because me myself, I do have the experience to say that okay, this is a valid entry and this is not. But I'm just teaching you here that, and maybe I'll do another video about high probability breaker blocks. But this video is only about how to mark breaker blocks, how to spot them, and how do I approach looking for breaker blocks. But another video would be about high probability breaker blocks. How do I know if or at least anticipate if it's gonna be a nice or good trade or not, so that's another video that's gonna be in the future. But right here, price actually sweep liquidity, goes above this fractal high, which is my highest point in between, and price actually closed above it at this candle. And what happens after, if you're really looking at entering at this point, it's going to be something like this. And you see how price comes back to this level twice. You can have a stop loss at this level, but then this level, that's the same thing. So you're looking at not a good reward to risk until this point. Actually, this is 2-to-1. So if you're good with 2-to-1, then yes, maybe there is a potential that price can come to this level or even this level right here. But it's kind of risky, so make sure to move your stop loss to a break even and do all of those stuff. So you can see that actually price respected this level right here. This is the breaker block on the lower time frame inside of a fair value gap, and it was respected. You put a stop loss above this high, then maybe you're in a good profit. Now it's not the best so far, but you see this one worked, but you're gonna have some tight stop loss. And right here, what do we have? So no sweep here, price going lower. Now this is the end of the limit kill zone. We're gonna wait for it. So you see price actually, this is a very nice one here. You're looking at this level, you see how it's almost no drawdown, only for a second, and that's it. So it's gonna be something like this. If you want to have a stop loss above this high of the fair value gap, and then taking profit, for example, whatever 2.5, then that's a winning trade. That's actually a winning trade, yes. But I was at this trade and then price reverses. So if you're in this trade, then maybe you're biased that you're gonna say okay, price is going up. But if you're actually waiting for this trade, then you're waiting for price to come lower, retraces back, goes lower. So that's a potential entry. That's a very nice trade using breaker block. So we are in the New York session right here, and we can see that there is a potential breaker block here. We have the sweep, and this is the high right here, the extreme high. So if price actually closed above, okay, now price closing above right here. So this is closing above now. So let's take a look at this now. Usually I would go for that, you can actually enter from here, from the high, but since I have this kind of candle, I can actually, and looking at this, if we enter from the body of the candle, what do we see? It's aligning with the fair value gap, so that's a high probability entry. right? So maybe we would consider this entering from this level, stop loss below the low, right? And then targeting, say, 2.5 or like this. So let's say 2.5, right? So hopefully price retraces back. Okay, retracement. And that's a 2 point. Okay, it goes much higher, right? It goes 4.5 and then it goes lower. So that was a good one. You see, very nice. And as I said, it's a higher probability when it's aligning with the fair value gap. You see, fair value gap tells you that okay, there is a displacement, price going up, so you got your entry here and the price goes up immediately. So price again at the same level here and still going up, right? So at this point we see that okay, there was not a good liquidity sweep, but this low in the lower time frame, it's a liquidity level. It was taken here, or filling this fair value gap and then breaking above this point with a fair value gap aligning with the breaker block. So there is a potential that price can respect this level and keeps going up, but we are out of kill zone, so it's a lower probability for this to happen, and we're not entering actually. Okay, and it's not respected. But usually I would look at this for a continuation, price going up and then coming back here and then keep going up on kill zones, only in kill zones. We're gonna go to the next day. Now, what date is this? So this is the 8th. So we have the Asian session here. We're gonna wait for the London kill zone now. Yeah, it looks like here. Okay. There you go. There is a sweep here. Price going up. If it closes above this point, then maybe. But usually, I don't like this structure. I don't like it. But we gotta do what I promise, is just sticking to the breaker block. So price taking liquidity. I mean, this just doesn't make sense, right? Because we have a sweep here, so we're not really entering from a breaker block at this point. So liquidity sweep here, price coming lower, closing below this point, then there is a potential entry from here, this breaker block, right? Actually, price comes back to it after this closure. I mean, at the same time, so this is not really an entry, but price can actually come here, but the stop loss is gonna be all the way up here, up. So a potential entry would be something like this, but as of now, I'm not gonna enter from the breaker block because we have a fair value gap, slightly above it. So I'm gonna enter from here, stop loss above the high, the targeting this low, for example, so, or 2.5 actually. So say at this level, and actually price goes up, so it was not respected. I mean, what time was so we had the entry at the end of the nickel zone, so that's not something good. I did not pay attention to this. Usually I would not trade at the end of the nickel zone. Okay, so let's wait for the New York kill zone. Okay, price, there's nothing I see as of now. Nothing. Price going up. Okay, so we have a liquidity sweep here, but still there is no clear structure here. That's not what I wanted to see. Okay, and a sweep again. Now the structure is much clearer. So this low right here is the breaker block and no closure, and we are actually out of the kill zone. So we're gonna go to the next day, to the 12th, and there you go. So we are in the Asian session. Let it play. And then yeah, so lender session right here. Let's see what's happening. Okay. So there was, but I don't like news. So we had news here, looks like it, and then price comes down, breaker block, but this is not a high probability entry. Let's see, closure below this point, but no liquidity sweep here, no major liquidity sweep, but it keeps going lower. So if you entered from here, and you see how price really, after the closing of a candle, this one could really work. Like if you say this is the breaker block right here, the price coming back here, even if you consider this one for example, then price also comes here just 2 weeks above it and then comes down. So there was, a valid entry, but I could not see it happening when it was happening. There is no clear structure in this case, honestly. So the same thing here, we had a liquidity sweep, price not closing above it, only wicking above it into a fair value gap and going lower. So not really interested at this. And we're gonna go to New York kill zone. So New York. So yes, there is a sweep here, not clear structure though, very inside candles inside of each other, so not really confident at this. Price takes this liquidity level and goes up, closing above this high. Then we have this breaker block right here and we get an entry here. So if I wanted to trade this, it's going to be something like this. Stop loss just below this very small fair value gap, and I can actually go 221. So yeah, this is already 221 actually, and I think it's, yeah, so it was achieved in one candle, but this would be the entry at the breaker block, the body of the breaker block, closing above it right here. You could have gotten the first entry actually right here because we have the closure here, so the entry is gonna be right here. And it would be, you're gonna get your first entry. Price is almost hitting the stop loss, but at this point, you would not know where your stop loss is. So if you wait and then you see this type of candle, then you would know that, okay, I'm gonna enter here and I'm gonna have a stop loss slightly below this low, and it's gonna be a winning trade. It's not that clear, but it still worked, and you see it went all the way up here. So that was a huge trade, but it was not that clear, This is not what I really look for. So you see how price resected this breaker block and price comes lower. Okay, nothing clear. We're out of kill zone, so we're gonna go to the next day. We got 2 more days, and I'm just showing you how price action is actually doing when it comes to breaker blocks. So this video might be helpful in spotting the breaker blocks, even not the best ones, not that, because if you go to other YouTubers, they're gonna teach you that, okay, and they're gonna go cherry picking and they're gonna say, okay, that's a breaker block, and they'll just teach you the the ideal or the textbook example. But in this case, I'm going over the last week and showing you what price action is doing without even, like, I have not traded GBP USD actually. Usually I trade Euro USD, so I'm not sure about the, and I don't even trade the 5 minutes, I trade the 15 minutes, so I'm not sure about the price action. Just going randomly and just saying my thoughts just out loud. That's the thing. Maybe people would learn from this. If no one is learning, then yeah, I understand that. So going into London kill zone, very aggressive move on the first 5 minute candle, right? We have a liquidity sweep here, potential breaker block. There you go. Okay, not yet because price did not close above it. And yes, it did. Okay, so actually it did close above it. Price actually wicks below the fair value gap. So usually this is an inducement, but I'm not gonna enter this trade, but just for the sake of the video, it's gonna be something like this. I'm gonna have a stop loss slightly below this level, and then targeting 2.5. This is a very small trade, like 2.5 pips. This is not really a trade that I would take. This is not really, because I know this low would be taken sooner or later. It would be taken, and you see it's taken right here. So it's taken, and then price went up. So if you were doing something like this, like at the low of the candle, or at least until the fair value gap, like the end of the fair value gap, this can be a good trade actually. So 2.5, but I knew that low would be taken because it's obviously an inducement, right? This is an inducement, price taking this low, then going up. So just make sure you have the stop loss placement in the right place, right? Just know where to place your stop loss, because I could see it coming, right? Inducement right here, it's gonna be, even the price goes up, it's gonna be taken either now or later. It's gonna be taken, and you see right here, inducement taken into a fair value gap. That's a very clear one, right? Into a fair value gap, and price keep going up. So yeah, now let's see what's gonna happen on the next. Okay, there is nothing. I don't see anything, so we're gonna wait for New York. Is this a liquidity sweep? So let's see. No, so it's not a liquidity sweep. I don't see anything. And we have news. We're not really interested here. Very big range, but list structure. Okay, so this is, I don't know, this is, if this is a liquidity sweep, then price is gonna go below this point. Okay, nothing. So nothing. So I'm gonna go skip to the next day, and it's gonna be the last day actually. So maybe I'll do one more day. So almost there. We have that. So okay, this is the London kill zone of the last day. So there is nothing so far. Now we go liquidity sweep. If price is going up, so price did not go up. Nothing so far. Now, okay, not closing above yet. There you go. So here is a potential one. What do we have here? A liquidity sweep. It's 4 or 5. Okay, so liquidity sweep. Price going up, closing above this high. So we have a potential breaker block entry here. Something like this. So long position here. Stop loss below this low. Right, I'm not gonna have it below this low because it's just too low. So below this low, and then 2.5. Okay, so let's do 2.5. You can go to this fair value gap actually. Not really sure if we're gonna get filled. We get filled, and then okay, so it doesn't go all the way there to the fair value gap, which I was really expecting price to go to this fair value gap, but it did not go there, and it happens. Price actually gave us 2.2 from this trade, and then goes into the stop loss, and price actually going up. So then sweeping right here. So let's see if price is gonna go up. Okay, actually right here I see something else. So price actually swept this high, right? This high, and came back into the range. And then what do we have also? We have a fair value gap here, which was respected. Price came down. It was saying that okay, maybe a sweep here, but then it closes below with a displacement. So at this point, what do? We have this breaker block is either the body of the candle, the body of the breaker block, or the low. Both would work at this time. So taking this is going to be our entry at this breaker block, the body of the breaker block right here. And where do we have our stop loss? I'm not gonna put it all the way up here, it's just too high, so I'm gonna have it here just above the body of the candle, because I'm expecting price. We don't have a fair value gap, we don't have nothing. Then I'm gonna go 2.5, something like this, and there you go. Huge trade. You see it goes very huge. Why? And I could see it, I could actually see it. Now even if you did not have an entry here after this candle, then even the next candle respects the low of the breaker. You see right here, it comes here slightly above it, and then it goes lower. So it would be a huge trade. And even for the next one, for the next entry, your stop loss would be just above this high. You can actually extend it here, but this is a very nice trade and a huge trade. This is the last day, and if you let your runners run, then there's gonna be a huge trade actually. And price actually comes back again, you see. So this is the low of the breaker, and you see the respect of this. So price closes below then entry here, first entry, second entry, and right here. Not entry here, but third entry here. And then price keeps going lower. So that's a huge trade actually. Very nice and very clean breaker. And usually this would be aligning with a high time frame. So if you really want to trade the breaker block, then first of all, we're not gonna go and do whatever we've done today. I'm just showing you how to spot the breaker block, just saying my thoughts out loud, but I will do my higher time frame, I'll do my top down analysis, and I'll go and check different pairs. I'm not gonna be focusing on one pair. And why? Because if you focus on one pair and you don't have that setup, then you would be forcing trades, and that's what I don't like. I don't want to be forcing trades on a specific pair, and then I realize after I lose then that there's some pairs that have a very nice and very clear breaker block when I was really forcing my breaker block on my pair just to get an entry, just to get a trade. You gotta only take the ones that align with fair value gap and that aligning with the order flow, and the ones that make sense. So if you see equal lows below the breaker, then you don't enter, you wait for this equal lows to be taken. And the same thing when we have an inducement, you wait for the inducement to be taken before entering a trade. So we follow the same logic for everything, but I'm gonna be doing a video about high probability breaker blocks and how to enter, and I'll show you how I think, 100% how I think and how I enter trades based on the breaker block. Hopefully you guys like this video. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and let me know what you guys want me to do for the next video. Give me some ideas and I will for sure do it. Join the Discord for seminars, live trading, and question and answers sessions. This is Molham, and I'll see you in the next video.